One of the most frustrating periods of time is when we have to wait. Waiting for a bus, a taxi that doesn't show up and it's causing you to be late to work, or a person that's late or delayed, or worse, waiting for news on your health or the health of a loved one, or perhaps waiting on a circumstance to change, but month after month, year after year, it doesn't. Years of frustrated waiting was the state of mind for Elizabeth and Zechariah in the Christmas story. Elizabeth was a cousin of Mary, and Zechariah was a priest at the temple in Jerusalem. They were unable to have a child, which was a great shame in their culture. They were waiting for circumstances to change, but year after year, it didn't, right up until their old age. Despite their frustration, they both chose to trust God and followed all of God's ways. It is important to acknowledge that for many people in the modern world, their circumstances often do not change. There are many adults who would love to have children and can't. For most of Elizabeth and Zechariah's lives, this is their circumstance. Zechariah also struggled to believe that in their old age they could have a child. It's important to note when their circumstances do change, it does so in a manner whereby it becomes part of a story that God is weaving together, which is much bigger than them. Indeed, unknown to them in their waiting, their son John, promised to them in old age, would be filled with the Holy Spirit. He would turn people to the Lord to make people ready for Jesus. Elizabeth comes to realize something bigger than her personal circumstances being met is happening during her pregnancy. When Mary comes to visit her, the child she is carrying leaps because Mary has entered the room with Jesus. She proclaims, "Blessed are you among women, for the child that you carry." God won't always solve our problems in the way that we expect. And in those waiting times, it can be so difficult to be patient or to trust God. Just like Elizabeth and Zechariah's long life of waiting, we press into God for that love and acceptance when circumstances remain unchanged. On other occasions, sometimes God will intervene in surprising ways. When we hand over the details of our lives to Him, He will take us by surprise. Maybe like Zechariah, God is speaking to you in your doubts and in your skepticism. Your intuition is pointing you towards God and His relationship, but you might be holding back because, perhaps like Zechariah, you don't want to have false hope or further disappointment. That's why it is important to realize the naturalness of fearing false hope, but remembering Elizabeth and Zechariah, alongside his doubts and his fears, they chose to follow God whether their circumstances changed or they didn't. This Christmas, we are reminded to allow the hope of Jesus to be realized personally. If we hear the voice of God speaking to us in our hearts, through the Bible, or a story, through other people, or even in nature itself, maybe it's time to believe that God is there and wants our personal story to find its deeper meaning in the bigger story of God's invitation to you this Christmas.